Imagine finally reaching the summit of your dreams, the moment where all your hard work pays off, only to discover that the air is thin, the view is bleak, and a storm is brewing. What if the very thing you strived for becomes the architect of your personal ruin, the catalyst for an unforeseen and devastating fall? Think of a celebrity whose career implodes amidst a very public breakdown, revealing the hidden cost of fame. This is the success effect, the often unacknowledged dark side of achievement. We are indoctrinated to believe that success is an unmitigated good, the ultimate goal. Yet, unchecked success can trigger unforeseen negative consequences, impacting our relationships, values, and ultimately, our well-being. This is not an argument against ambition, but rather an exploration into the shadows that lurk beneath the veneer of accomplishment, a realm where triumph can quickly turn to tragedy. Many envision success as a direct path to unending joy, but the reality often diverges sharply. Instead of easing anxieties, success can amplify them, bringing forth a fresh wave of challenges and a profound sense of isolation. Consider the pervasive cultural narrative, deeply embedded in the myth of meritocracy and the American dream, that relentlessly equates success with inherent worth and lasting happiness. This illusion sets the stage for unrealistic expectations, placing immense pressure on individuals to attain an ever-elusive ideal, often at a great personal cost. But what if we redefine success, moving beyond mere accumulation of wealth and accolades? What if true success lay not just in what we achieve, but in who we become and the lives we touch along the way? What is success, ultimately, without someone to share it with, without a sense of belonging and genuine connection? The pursuit of achievement, when untethered from a strong internal compass, can lead down a treacherous path, resulting in profound isolation, debilitating burnout, and even destructive addictions. Relationships crumble under the weight of ambition, identities become blurred, and mental health crises emerge from the pressure to maintain an impeccable facade. Think of a workaholic CEO, whose relentless pursuit of profit leaves their family life in shambles, a stark reminder that success, narrowly defined, can come at a devastating price. Understanding the success effect provides an invaluable framework, empowering individuals to navigate their achievements with greater self-awareness and intention, ultimately leading to a more balanced and truly fulfilling existence. As Socrates profoundly stated, the unexamined life is not worth living. True success demands thoughtful reflection and introspection, a willingness to confront our shadows and align our actions with our deepest values. Therefore, we must broaden our understanding of what constitutes true success. It is not solely defined by monetary gain or social status, but encompasses personal well-being, the cultivation of meaningful relationships, and a commitment to contributing to something larger than ourselves. Later in this video, we'll delve deeper into the concept of the shadow self, as articulated by Carl Jung, exploring the parts of ourselves we often disown or suppress in our relentless pursuit of societal acceptance. Suppressing these traits and emotions can significantly contribute to the negative consequences of success, creating internal conflict and hindering genuine self-expression. We'll also explore the vital importance of authenticity and vulnerability in sustaining healthy relationships amidst the intoxicating allure of success. Maintaining a facade of perfection, projecting an image of flawless achievement, can lead to profound isolation, preventing us from forging genuine, meaningful connections with others. Consider the numerous celebrities who struggle to form lasting relationships, trapped behind a carefully constructed persona that shields them from true intimacy. And what about the relentless cycle of chasing the next high, the diminishing returns of each successive achievement? So, what does success truly mean to you? What sacrifices are you willing to make in its name? Are you living a life of genuine fulfillment, or are you simply chasing the fleeting validation of the external world? As we journey further, we will dissect specific case studies, examining the lives of famous and historical figures whose very achievements cast a long shadow over their personal lives, leading to unforeseen tragedies. We will consider the rise and fall of empires built on ambition, the personal struggles hidden beneath the veneer of public triumph, and the price paid for chasing a dream that ultimately turned into a nightmare. Prepare to confront the unsettling reality of the imposter syndrome, a phenomenon that plagues even the most outwardly successful individuals, leaving them grappling with persistent feelings of inadequacy and gnawing self-doubt. This is why, in this video, we promise to equip you with practical strategies, actionable tools designed to cultivate self-awareness, nurture healthy relationships, and ultimately redefine success on your own terms, allowing you to craft a life of genuine purpose, fulfillment, and enduring meaning. What parts of yourself do you keep hidden, locked away from the world, deemed unacceptable by societal standards or your own internal critic? This leads us to a deeper exploration of the shadow self, a concept Carl Jung described as the unconscious aspect of the personality that the conscious ego does not identify with. The drive for success often demands the suppression of traits considered undesirable: vulnerability, weakness, aggression, those very qualities that make us human. Imagine a highly successful entrepreneur, a titan of industry who ruthlessly suppresses any display of emotion, cultivating a persona of unwavering strength. While this image may project competence, it simultaneously creates a disconnect from their authentic self, straining relationships and leaving them emotionally isolated. They may be celebrated for their achievements, but at what cost to their inner peace and genuine connections? Denying these aspects of oneself, attempting to maintain a flawless facade, requires a tremendous amount of energy. It's like constantly holding a beach ball underwater. The effort is exhausting, and eventually the ball will burst to the surface. This constant suppression leads to increased psychological distress and burnout, a sense of inauthenticity that permeates every aspect of life. Consider a politician, perpetually in the public eye, forced to maintain a perfect image, carefully calibrating every word and gesture. Or an executive always on, unable to relax, constantly projecting an image of unwavering confidence. The mental health impacts of such masking are significant, ranging from chronic anxiety and depression to a profound sense of alienation. How can one truly thrive when forced to live a lie, when the chasm between the public persona and the private self grows ever wider? Is success worth sacrificing authenticity? Integrating the shadow self is not about acting out negative impulses, indulging in destructive behaviors. It's about acknowledging and accepting these darker traits, understanding their origins, and integrating them into a more complete and balanced self. This process can lead to greater self-awareness, emotional resilience, and a deeper sense of wholeness. Think of it as befriending the parts of yourself you've long rejected, understanding that they are integral to your overall being. One powerful tool for exploring and integrating the shadow is active imagination, a Jungian technique that involves engaging in a dialogue with these unconscious aspects of the personality through visualization and fantasy. Journaling can also serve as a powerful tool, providing a safe space to explore and process these hidden emotions and traits. By confronting these hidden aspects of ourselves, we can unlock hidden potentials and find greater inner peace. What benefits can you imagine deriving from integrating your shadow self? Consider the examples of successful individuals who embraced their shadow selves and achieved greater authenticity. Artists like Frida Kahlo, who channeled her pain and suffering into powerful and evocative works of art. Writers like Fyodor Dostoevsky, who explored the darkest corners of the human psyche in his novels. Leaders like Abraham Lincoln, who acknowledged his own flaws and vulnerabilities, connecting with others on a deeper level. Contrast these figures with those who relentlessly deny their shadows, clinging to an image of perfection, often resulting in a brittle and ultimately unsustainable existence. Which path seems more conducive to long-term fulfillment? Denying your inner darkness or integrating it? This brings us back to a concept we touched on earlier. The imposter syndrome, a persistent feeling of self-doubt despite evidence of one's competence. It's the nagging fear of being exposed as a fraud, the constant worry that your accomplishments are undeserved. It's a phenomenon that plagues high achievers across diverse fields. Studies suggest that up to 70% of successful individuals experience imposter syndrome at some point in their careers, highlighting that this is far from an isolated phenomenon. So if you feel it, know that you are in good company. But what fuels these feelings of inadequacy, these nagging doubts that undermine even the most impressive achievements? Imposter syndrome is often closely linked to perfectionism and the relentless pressure to maintain an image of unwavering competence. The fear of failure can drive individuals to work excessively, pushing themselves to the brink of exhaustion and becoming overly critical of themselves, setting impossible standards that no one can truly meet. Imagine a successful surgeon, renowned for their skill and precision, yet constantly haunted by the fear of making a mistake, leading to chronic anxiety and burnout. They might develop elaborate coping mechanisms, meticulously preparing for every procedure, second-guessing every decision, but the underlying fear persists, a constant companion whispering doubts in their ear. This is why many surgeons are notorious for having terrible bedside manner. What price do they pay for their success? Social comparison and the relentless pursuit of external validation also play a significant role in fueling imposter syndrome. In today's hyper-connected world, where success is constantly broadcast and celebrated on social media, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing oneself to others, leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Consider the impact of social media on self-perception, particularly in fields where success is publicly visible. Influencers, entrepreneurs, celebrities. The carefully curated images of perfect lives and effortless achievements can create a distorted sense of reality, exacerbating feelings of inadequacy and fueling the imposter syndrome. How can one maintain a healthy sense of self-worth in a world that constantly bombards us with images of unattainable perfection? Is it possible to break free from the cycle of social comparison and cultivate a deeper sense of self-acceptance? The consequences of unchecked imposter syndrome can be devastating, leading to anxiety, depression, self-sabotage, and a profound sense of unfulfillment. The constant fear of exposure can paralyze individuals, preventing them from taking risks, pursuing new opportunities, and fully embracing their potential. That's why it is crucial to address these feelings head-on, to challenge the negative self-talk, and to cultivate a more realistic and compassionate view of oneself. Is it possible to redefine success in a way that is less dependent on external validation and more focused on internal growth and self-acceptance? Why is addressing imposter syndrome so critical for long-term well-being? This pursuit of greatness can lead to a profound sense of isolation, a theme explored by Friedrich Nietzsche in his concept of the burden of greatness. Striving for excellence, pushing beyond the boundaries of the ordinary, can create a sense of alienation from others who don't share the same drive, the same understanding, the same vision. As Nietzsche wrote, "He who climbs upon the highest mountains mocks at all tragedies, whether real or imaginary." But is this mocking a sign of strength, or a defense mechanism against the loneliness of being at the summit? Consider the life of Howard Hughes, a man whose extraordinary success and immense wealth ultimately led to increasing paranoia, crippling isolation, and increasingly eccentric behavior. Hughes's struggles with OCD and germophobia, his growing detachment from the outside world, his descent into seclusion all serve as a cautionary tale about the potential dark side of unchecked ambition. He became a prisoner of his own success, trapped within the confines of his wealth and his own increasingly distorted perceptions. What can we learn from the life of Howard Hughes about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the importance of maintaining human connection? Or consider Michael Jackson, the king of pop. whose unparalleled fame and global adoration came at a steep price. The pressures of maintaining his image, the constant scrutiny of the media, the loss of privacy, the difficulty in forming genuine relationships all contributed to his tragic demise. His reliance on medication, his struggles with self-image, his desperate attempts to recapture his lost childhood all paint a portrait of a man consumed by the demands of his success, ultimately unable to find peace or happiness. Both Hughes and Jackson, in their own ways, struggled with aspects of their personalities, suppressed parts of their identities, and allowed their shadows to consume them. Their stories serve as stark reminders of the importance of self-acceptance and the dangers of allowing external validation to define one's worth. What is it that makes their stories so compelling? Beyond the individual level, the pursuit of success can also compromise one's moral compass, leading to unethical behavior and a loss of integrity. The temptations of wealth, power, and fame can be overwhelming, corrupting even well-intentioned individuals, blurring the lines between right and wrong. Imagine an entrepreneur who compromises their values to secure a lucrative deal, sacrificing ethical considerations for financial gain. Or a politician who accepts bribes to advance their career, betraying the trust of their constituents. This connects directly to our earlier discussion of authenticity. Compromising one's values leads to a loss of integrity, a disconnect from one's true self, creating a sense of inner turmoil and a gnawing feeling of guilt. Consider a lawyer who defends a guilty client, knowing that they are contributing to injustice, or an advertising executive who promotes a harmful product, prioritizing profit over public well-being. These choices, however small they may seem in the moment, can erode one's sense of self-worth and create a deep sense of moral conflict. How can one maintain a strong moral compass in the face of such temptations? Is it possible to achieve true success without compromising one's integrity? Even more subtly, the concept of moral licensing suggests that past good deeds can sometimes justify future unethical behavior. People sometimes allow themselves to act immorally after establishing their credentials as a moral person. Studies have shown that individuals who have previously engaged in charitable acts, for example, may be more likely to engage in unethical behavior in subsequent situations, feeling that they have earned the right to indulge in less ethical actions. This is why the best philanthropists often make the worst business people. What does this say about the human condition? The long-term consequences of unethical behavior are significant, including damage to reputation, loss of trust, legal repercussions, and a profound sense of inner shame. That's why true success must be built on a foundation of integrity, grounded in a commitment to ethical principles and a deep respect for oneself and others. But how do you build success on integrity when those around you are not? What sacrifices must be made in order to maintain a moral high ground? The insidious nature of compromising one's moral compass often goes unnoticed, masked by the immediate rewards of external validation. This brings us to the social validation trap, a phenomenon amplified by the pervasive influence of social media in our modern world. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn have created a culture of constant self-promotion, where success is often measured by likes, shares, and followers. How has this relentless pursuit of social validation reshaped our understanding of achievement, and what are the hidden costs of this digital obsession? The curated image of effortless success, endlessly promoted by influencers and amplified by algorithms, can create unrealistic expectations and feelings of inadequacy in viewers. Consider the influencer who portrays a life of luxury, travel, and perfect happiness, carefully crafting each post to project an image of unattainable perfection. What emotions do they actually feel? The reality behind the scenes may be far different, masked by sponsorships, carefully crafted posts, and purchased likes. It is a life of chronic anxiety, relentless self-monitoring, and the constant pressure to maintain a flawless facade. This relentless pursuit of validation often traps both the influencer and the viewer in a cycle of comparison and dissatisfaction. The influencer depends on constant validation from viewers, and the viewers constantly compare themselves to the influencer. What happens when the likes stop coming? The correlation between social media use and mental health issues among high achievers is becoming increasingly clear. Studies have shown a strong link between excessive social media use and increased rates of anxiety, depression, and body image issues, particularly among those who feel pressure to maintain a perfect online persona. For example, a study published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology found that high-achieving students who spent more time on social media reported higher levels of anxiety and lower self-esteem. This pressure to maintain a perfect online image can lead to emotional isolation and inauthenticity, as individuals feel compelled to hide their struggles and vulnerabilities in order to maintain their perceived status. How can successful people manage the pressures of social media? This brings us to the mask of success pattern, where the need to project an image of perfection can lead to emotional isolation and inauthenticity. Imagine a CEO who must always appear confident and in control, even when facing immense stress and uncertainty. They may feel compelled to hide their doubts and fears from their employees, board members, and even their own family, creating a sense of distance and loneliness. Or consider a celebrity who feels pressured to smile for the cameras, even while battling inner turmoil and personal struggles. The gap between the public persona and the private self grows ever wider, leading to a profound sense of alienation and unfulfillment. How can individuals break free from this cycle of inauthenticity and cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections? Challenging the notion that success requires constant invulnerability requires us to embrace vulnerability as a strength. Sharing our struggles and challenges with trusted friends and family members allows us to cultivate deeper connections, to find strength in shared experiences, and to realize that we are not alone in our struggles. Brené Brown, in her groundbreaking research on vulnerability, argues that vulnerability is not a weakness, but rather the birthplace of courage, connection, and belonging. Being able to say, "I don't know," or "I'm struggling with this," are signs of strength, not weakness. How can we cultivate the courage to be vulnerable in a world that often celebrates invulnerability? The desire to cultivate deeper and more meaningful relationships leads us to the ego and the accomplishment, which are often deeply intertwined. Too many successful people have built their success upon a house of cards. It's easy to fall into the trap of defining oneself solely by one's achievements, leading to a fragile sense of identity that can be easily shattered by setbacks or failures. A professional athlete struggles to cope with retirement because they no longer have their sport to define them. Who are they when they're not a star athlete? An executive loses their job and feels like they've lost their entire identity. What is left when the corner office disappears? This entanglement of ego and accomplishment can create a fear of failure and a reluctance to take risks. When one's self-worth is tied to success, any setback can feel like a personal attack. An entrepreneur paralyzed by fear of launching a new product because they are afraid of damaging their reputation, unable to innovate, becomes increasingly irrelevant. They become stuck, clinging to past successes, unwilling to take the risks necessary to adapt and thrive. The fear of failure, in this case, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. How can individuals break free from this cycle of fear and embrace the uncertainty that comes with pursuing new challenges? What about the fear of success? Does that impact people as well? Cultivating a sense of self that is independent of external achievements requires a fundamental shift in perspective. True fulfillment comes from within, based on values, relationships, and personal growth. Identifying your core values and pursuing activities that align with those values allows you to build a life that is meaningful and fulfilling, regardless of whether it leads to external success. What activities do you enjoy? regardless of whether they bring you praise or recognition. Nurturing meaningful relationships provides a source of support, connection, and belonging that can buffer against the inevitable ups and downs of life. How can you prioritize personal growth and self-discovery, seeking knowledge, experiences, and perspectives that broaden your horizons and deepen your understanding of yourself and the world? The philosophical concept of detachment, found in both Buddhism and Stoicism, offers a powerful means of cultivating emotional resilience. Detachment does not mean indifference or apathy, but rather a recognition that external events are ultimately beyond our control. By distancing oneself from the outcome, one can reduce the fear of failure, increase inner peace, and focus on the present moment. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." How can you apply the principles of detachment to your own life, reducing your dependence on external validation and cultivating greater inner peace? To illustrate these themes, let's shift our focus from the worlds of business and celebrity to the world of art and creativity, exploring the phenomenon of creative burnout and the loss of passion that can accompany success in artistic fields. Why do some artists create amazing work early in their careers, only to lose their spark later on? What forces conspire to stifle creativity and transform inspired visionaries into mere shadows of their former selves? Creative burnout can be connected to the themes of imposter syndrome, social validation, and ego entanglement. The pressures of fame, the need to please audiences, and the fear of not living up to past achievements can stifle creativity. A musician who becomes trapped in a cycle of writing the same type of song to maintain their popularity, sacrificing their artistic integrity in the process, may experience this burnout. They become a caricature of themselves, endlessly repeating past successes, unable to take risks or explore new creative avenues. The soul dies incrementally. How does selling out impact them later? What happens when the audience moves on and they are left with nothing but regret? Consider Kurt Cobain, the iconic frontman of Nirvana, whose meteoric rise to fame was followed by a tragic descent into addiction, depression, and ultimately suicide. Cobain struggled with the pressures of being a voice for a generation, the constant scrutiny of the media, and the sense that he had lost control of his own artistic vision. Cobain's artistic drive came from a place of angst, which was increasingly difficult to manufacture. His success, which was once the goal, became a prison. How did his success affect his artistic drive? How did he struggle with that burden? What can we learn from his story about the dangers of unchecked fame and the importance of artistic integrity? Preventing creative burnout requires finding joy in the process, not just the outcome. Artists should focus on the intrinsic rewards of creating, rather than solely on external recognition. The act of creation itself can be a source of joy, fulfillment, and self-discovery, providing a buffer against the pressures of fame and the fear of failure. Cultivating a sense of curiosity, experimenting with new techniques, and collaborating with other artists can also help to reignite the creative spark. How can artists protect their artistic integrity in a world that often prioritizes commercial success over creative expression? We now return to the central argument that true success is not solely defined by external achievements, but also by internal fulfillment, meaningful relationships, and alignment with personal values. The unexamined life is not worth living. To live a fulfilling life, you must examine the parts of yourself that you leave unexamined, to redefine success on your own terms. Identify your core values and ask yourself, what truly matters to you? Set personal boundaries, learning to say no to opportunities that don't align with your values. Prioritize relationships, investing time and energy in nurturing meaningful connections. Practice self-compassion, being kind to yourself when facing setbacks or challenges. Embrace failure as a learning opportunity, understanding that setbacks are inevitable on the path to success. You can choose to define success for yourself. As we move toward our conclusion, know this: a path towards a more authentic and fulfilling life awaits, regardless of external circumstances. By embracing vulnerability, cultivating inner resilience, and aligning your actions with your values, you can navigate the complexities of success with greater self-awareness and purpose. But the question remains: are you willing to continue chasing a hollow version of success, or will you choose to define it for yourself? But where do these traps manifest in our current cultural landscape? Let's now turn our attention to Silicon Valley, the global hub of technological innovation, to examine the high-pressure world of tech startups and the mental health challenges faced by its founders and employees. The intense competition, long hours, and constant pressure to innovate create a unique environment where the pursuit of success can come at a significant cost. How does the hustle culture of Silicon Valley impact the well-being of its workers, and what specific anxieties does this culture breed? The unrelenting pace of innovation, the constant pressure to secure funding, and the fear of being outcompeted create a breeding ground for stress, burnout, and mental health issues. Data from various surveys and studies paints a concerning picture. For instance, a study by the University of California, Berkeley, found that tech founders are significantly more likely to experience mental health conditions like depression and anxiety compared to the general population. A large percentage reported feelings of loneliness, isolation, and a lack of work-life balance. Compared to national averages, rates of anxiety and depression among tech workers are statistically higher, highlighting the unique pressures of this industry. Is there a point at which the promise of success is outweighed by the risk of mental health decline? These mental health challenges are often linked to the themes we've already explored. The relentless pursuit of social validation, the entanglement of ego with professional success, and the erosion of values in the pursuit of wealth and recognition. Consider the tech founder who sacrifices their health, family life, and personal relationships to build a billion-dollar company, only to find themselves feeling empty and disconnected upon reaching their goal. Perhaps they wished they knew the importance of balance and self-care before embarking on that path. Or perhaps they realized too late that the relationships they sacrificed can never be rebuilt. What does this individual wish they knew before starting on that path, and how can others learn from their experience? As a counter to this relentless pursuit of achievement, let's introduce the concept of mindful productivity as a more sustainable approach to success. Mindful productivity is not about doing more in less time, but rather about aligning your work with your values, focusing on the present moment, and prioritizing your well-being. How can founders redefine success and still remain competitive in a cutthroat environment while still maintaining integrity? Mindful productivity involves a conscious effort to be present and engaged in the task at hand, rather than being distracted by worries about the future or regrets about the past. It involves setting realistic goals and breaking them down into manageable steps, celebrating small victories along the way. It also involves prioritizing self-care, recognizing that your well-being is essential for sustained productivity and creativity. What are the key components of mindful productivity, and how can they be integrated into daily life? Key components include setting intentions, practicing gratitude, and taking regular breaks. Mindful productivity offers numerous benefits, both personally and professionally. By focusing on the present moment, individuals can reduce stress, increase focus, and improve overall satisfaction. Studies have shown that mindfulness practices can enhance cognitive function, improve emotional regulation, and promote creativity. How can mindful productivity be applied in a tech startup, a creative field, or a corporate environment, and how does it differ from traditional productivity methods? In a tech startup, it might involve incorporating short meditation breaks into the workday or encouraging employees to to disconnect from technology after hours. In a creative field, it could mean setting aside dedicated time for creative exploration without the pressure of deadlines or expectations. In a corporate environment, it might involve promoting a culture of open communication and support, where employees feel comfortable sharing their struggles and asking for help. Implementing mindful productivity in daily life requires a conscious effort to cultivate mindfulness, manage time effectively, and prioritize self-care. Mindfulness practices, such as guided meditations, deep breathing exercises, and body scan meditations, can help individuals become more aware of their thoughts and feelings in the present moment. Time management techniques, such as time blocking, the Pomodoro technique, and the Eisenhower matrix, can help individuals prioritize tasks, set realistic goals, and avoid overcommitment. Self-care strategies, such as exercise, healthy eating, spending time in nature, and connecting with loved ones, can help individuals maintain their physical and emotional well-being. The hustle culture mentality often glorifies overwork, sleep deprivation, and the relentless pursuit of achievement. This can lead to burnout, decreased performance, and a neglect of personal well-being. Mindful productivity, on the other hand, promotes sustainability and long-term success by prioritizing balance, self-care, and alignment with values. It requires a fundamental shift in mindset, from viewing work as a means to an end to viewing it as an integral part of a fulfilling life. This requires specific changes in workflow, such as setting boundaries, delegating tasks, and prioritizing downtime. How can individuals and organizations move away from the hustle culture and embrace a more mindful approach to productivity? This brings us to the power of no, of setting boundaries and saying no to protect one's time, energy, and values. Learning to decline opportunities that don't align with one's priorities is essential for maintaining well-being and integrity. Saying yes to everything can lead to overcommitment, burnout, and a neglect of what truly matters. Why is it so difficult for successful people to say no? And what are the psychological barriers that prevent them from setting boundaries? Successful people are often driven by a desire to achieve, a fear of missing out, and a sense of obligation to others. These factors can make it difficult to decline opportunities, even when they know it's in their best interest. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is a powerful motivator in today's hyper-connected world. The constant stream of information and opportunities can create a sense that one is always missing out on something better, leading to overcommitment and burnout. FOMO manifests in social life, career, and personal relationships, often triggered by social media posts, networking events, and the pressure to keep up with peers. Accepting every invitation, attending every event, and pursuing every opportunity can leave one feeling overwhelmed, depleted, and disconnected from their own values. What practical steps can be taken to overcome FOMO and prioritize what truly matters? Setting boundaries and saying no effectively requires a clear understanding of one's priorities, a willingness to communicate assertively, and a commitment to self-care. Start by identifying what truly matters to you. What are your core values? What activities bring you joy and fulfillment? What relationships are most important to you? Once you have a clear understanding of your priorities, you can use them as a guide for making decisions about how to spend your time and energy. Learn to say no politely, but firmly, using clear and direct language. You can delegate tasks when possible. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Protect your time by scheduling regular breaks and downtime. Challenging the belief that saying no is a sign of weakness or failure is crucial for cultivating a more balanced and fulfilling life. Saying no is not about being selfish or uncooperative. It's about being self-respectful and intentional. It's a sign that you value your time, energy, and well-being. It's a commitment to living a life that aligns with your values, rather than being driven by external pressures or expectations. Does this change the dynamic in a work environment, fostering a culture of respect for boundaries and individual well-being? This leads us to the final component of navigating the potential tragedies of success: building a support system of authentic relationships. Cultivating authentic relationships is essential for emotional support and resilience, helping individuals navigate the challenges of success and avoid isolation. A strong social network can provide a sense of belonging, connection, and purpose, buffering against the stresses and pressures of high achievement. What are the qualities of an authentic relationship, and how can they be cultivated? Qualities of an authentic relationship include trust, empathy, vulnerability, and mutual respect. Maintaining a facade of perfection, the mask of success, discussed earlier, can prevent genuine connection and lead to feelings of loneliness. When individuals feel compelled to hide their struggles and vulnerabilities, they create a barrier between themselves and others, preventing the formation of deep and meaningful relationships. How can individuals break down this mask of success and show their true selves to others, fostering greater authenticity and connection? Exercises such as journaling, mindful self-reflection, and open communication with trusted friends and family members can help individuals become more aware of their own emotions and needs. Building and maintaining authentic relationships requires vulnerability, active listening, quality time, and gratitude. Be vulnerable by sharing your struggles and challenges with trusted friends and family members. Listen actively by paying attention to what others are saying and showing empathy. Spend quality time together by engaging in activities that you both enjoy. Express gratitude by showing appreciation for the people in your life. As we set the stage for the video's conclusion, remember that building a strong support system is a key ingredient for a fulfilling life, regardless of external circumstances. Prioritizing relationships, cultivating authenticity, and practicing empathy can help individuals navigate the challenges of success with greater self-awareness and resilience. Does this emphasis on authentic relationships help with preventing mental health decline in successful individuals, providing a buffer against the pressures and stresses of high achievement? Does this emphasis on authentic relationships help with preventing mental health decline in successful individuals, providing a buffer against the pressures and stresses of high achievement? While genuine connection certainly provides essential support, the relentless drive for more can overshadow even the strongest relationships. This brings us to another pitfall of success: the danger of comparison and its link to what's known as the hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill, also known as hedonic adaptation, describes our tendency to return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events or life changes. In the context of success, this means that achieving a long-sought-after goal, such as winning an award, receiving a promotion, or buying a new house, provides only a temporary boost in happiness. Over time, the feeling fades, and the individual is left needing the next fix to maintain their perceived level of well-being. Are people aware that these achievements only give short-term gratification? This constant pursuit of external validation can quickly become an exhausting and ultimately unsatisfying cycle. This cycle is often fueled by the social validation trap, where the constant need for external approval exacerbates the feeling of never being good enough. Social media platforms, in particular, amplify this effect by providing a constant stream of curated images showcasing the achievements and lifestyles of others. Comparing oneself to these often unrealistic portrayals can lead to a perpetual sense of inadequacy, even when one is objectively successful. How do these platforms exacerbate feelings of inadequacy, and what role does the algorithm play in reinforcing this cycle? The algorithms that govern these platforms often prioritize content that elicits strong emotional responses, which can inadvertently reinforce feelings of envy, competition, and the need for constant self-improvement. The algorithmic amplification of achievements creates a hyper-competitive environment where it seems everyone else is constantly succeeding. A social media influencer, for example, might be constantly chasing more followers and likes, feeling anxious and inadequate whenever their engagement dips. A business owner might be never satisfied with their profits, always striving to outperform their competitors, even at the expense of their personal well-being. How can we counter this sense of perpetual inadequacy that stems from social comparison? Gratitude and appreciation offer potent antidotes to the hedonic treadmill. Consciously focusing on the positive aspects of one's life, expressing gratitude to others, and savoring positive experiences can help cultivate a sense of contentment and break the cycle of chasing external validation. Actively recognizing the good things in our lives shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already possess, fostering a deeper sense of satisfaction. What specific practices can foster this sense of gratitude and contentment? Consider implementing a gratitude journal where you regularly write down things you are thankful for, no matter how small. Make a conscious effort to express appreciation to others, acknowledging their contributions and kindness. Savor positive experiences by fully immersing yourself in the present moment, paying attention to the sights, sounds, smells, and tastes that make the experience enjoyable. These intentional practices can rewire our brains to focus on the positive, creating a more resilient and contented mindset. How does this conscious effort to appreciate the present shift our perspective on success? Ultimately, challenging the notion that happiness is something to be achieved through external success becomes paramount. Happiness is not a destination to be reached, but a state of mind that can be cultivated through intentional practices and a shift in perspective. Instead of constantly striving for more, we can learn to appreciate what we already have and find joy in the simple things in life. What would enough look like, and how can we redefine success on our own terms? This redefinition of success hinges on accepting imperfection and embracing vulnerability. This connects directly to the earlier discussion of the shadow self and the mask of success, acknowledging that true fulfillment comes from integrating all aspects of ourselves, both positive and negative. But how can we reconcile the pursuit of excellence with the acceptance of our own flaws and limitations? The key lies in understanding the difference between adaptive and maladaptive perfectionism. Adaptive perfectionism involves setting high standards while still being flexible and self-compassionate. Maladaptive perfectionism, on the other hand, involves setting unrealistic standards and being overly critical of oneself. What are the key differences between these two types of perfectionism, and how can we distinguish between them in our own lives? Adaptive perfectionists are driven by a desire for excellence, while maladaptive perfectionists are driven by a fear of failure. Adaptive perfectionists are able to learn from their mistakes, while maladaptive perfectionists are paralyzed by them. Adaptive perfectionists are kind to themselves, while maladaptive perfectionists are harshly self-critical. Maladaptive perfectionism often links to imposter syndrome and a pervasive fear of failure. The constant pressure to meet impossible standards fuels feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Individuals may feel like they are frauds, constantly worried about being exposed as incompetent. How do external expectations play into this cycle of self-doubt, and what role does society play in perpetuating these unrealistic standards? Societal pressures often reinforce the idea that success requires perfection, leading individuals to internalize these expectations and become overly critical of themselves. Fortunately, practical strategies exist for overcoming maladaptive perfectionism. Start by challenging negative thoughts, identifying and questioning unrealistic beliefs. For example, instead of thinking, "I must be perfect," try thinking, "I can do my best, and that's good enough." Set realistic goals, breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Practice self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. Focus on progress, not perfection, celebrating small victories and learning from mistakes. These incremental shifts in perspective can disrupt the cycle of self-criticism and foster a more balanced approach to achievement. What other strategies can help to cultivate self-compassion and break free from the trap of perfectionism? To illustrate the corrupting influence of power and the challenges of maintaining integrity, let's transition to the world of politics and explore a cautionary tale. How can politicians stay true to their values in the face of immense pressure to compromise? The story of Richard Nixon offers a stark example of how the pursuit of political success can lead to moral compromises and a devastating loss of authenticity. Nixon's ambition and desire for power ultimately led to the Watergate scandal and his downfall. His relentless pursuit of political dominance corrupted his values, leading to unethical behavior, abuse of power, and a profound betrayal of public trust. How did his pursuit of power corrupt his values and lead to unethical behavior, and what lessons can be learned from his tragic trajectory? The pressures of political life, the constant need for fundraising, and the intense scrutiny from the media can create an environment where ethical compromises seem necessary for survival. To provide a more contemporary example, choose a contemporary politician who has faced ethical challenges. Analyze a more recent example of a politician who has been accused of corruption or moral compromise, highlighting the pressures and temptations they faced. What specific pressures and temptations did they face, and how did those challenges impact their decision-making? These examples highlight the concept of groupthink, a phenomenon where the desire for conformity and the suppression of dissenting opinions can lead to flawed judgment and moral lapses in political environments. The pressure to maintain party loyalty, avoid controversy, and secure votes can lead to a collective blindness to ethical concerns. How can groupthink contribute to unethical decision-making in political environments, and what safeguards can be put in place to prevent it? Encouraging open dialogue, valuing diverse perspectives, and promoting ethical leadership can help to counter the effects of groupthink and foster a more responsible and accountable political culture. These real-world examples underline the importance of defining success not just in terms of personal achievement, but also in terms of contribution to something larger than oneself. Finding a sense of purpose and leaving a positive legacy can provide a deeper and more lasting sense of fulfillment, transcending the fleeting pleasures of external validation. But what impact do you truly want to have on the world? To help answer that question, consider the Japanese concept of ikigai, which involves finding the intersection between what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. When these four elements align, individuals experience a profound sense of purpose and meaning in their lives. How can this philosophy guide us in aligning our actions with a greater sense of purpose? To begin, reflect deeply on your values and passions, identifying what you truly care about. Next, identify your strengths and talents, acknowledging what you are naturally good at. Then, consider the needs of the world, exploring what problems you want to solve. Finally, find ways to use your skills and passions to make a positive impact, whether through volunteering, donating, advocating, or creating. What small steps can you take today to align your actions with your ikigai and create a more purposeful and fulfilling life? As we approach the video's conclusion, we're on the cusp of our ultimate revelation. True success lies not in what you achieve, but in who you become and the impact you have on the world. By living a life of purpose and meaning, aligned with your values and passions, you can transcend the potential tragedies of success and leave a legacy that truly matters. Where will this recognition take us, and how will it shape our understanding of success going forward? Where does this recognition take us, and how will it shape our understanding of success going forward? Ironically, the more one achieves in the external world, the greater the risk of creating a relational rift, neglecting the very relationships that provide support and meaning. The relentless pursuit of success often demands a steep price, the erosion of social connections. Time and energy become finite resources, ruthlessly allocated to career advancement, often at the expense of family, friends, and community. How can we avoid sacrificing these vital connections on the altar of ambition? The demands of success manifest in various ways. Long hours at the office, frequent business trips, constant networking events, and the sheer mental bandwidth consumed by professional responsibilities. Each of these commitments chips away at the time available for nurturing personal relationships. Consider the executive who consistently misses family dinners due to late meetings, or the entrepreneur who is always on, checking emails even during vacations. The human cost of such dedication often goes unacknowledged until it's too late. What unseen toll do these constant demands take on our most cherished relationships? This neglect is further compounded by the mask of success, the need to project an image of competence and invulnerability. Individuals may become hesitant to confide in others, fearing that vulnerability will undermine their carefully constructed facade. An executive, for example, might be afraid to admit their work-related stress to their spouse, believing it will make them appear weak or incapable. An entrepreneur might feel pressured to maintain a facade of success on social media, even when struggling internally. This reluctance to seek support only deepens the sense of isolation. How does this need for projecting success inadvertently create further separation from others? Maintaining strong relationships requires more than just physical presence. It demands quality time, characterized by depth and meaningful interaction. Simply being there is not enough if one is constantly distracted or emotionally unavailable. A parent who is always physically present but constantly glued to their phone is not truly engaging with their children. A spouse who spends hours watching TV with their partner but rarely engages in meaningful conversation is missing opportunities for connection. What distinguishes quality time from mere quantity time, and why does it matter? Prioritizing relationships amidst the demands of success requires conscious effort and intentional strategies. Schedule regular date nights or family outings, treating them as non-negotiable appointments. When engaging in conversations, put away your phone and be fully present, actively listening to your loved ones and showing empathy. Express gratitude and appreciation regularly, acknowledging the value of your relationships. These small gestures can make a significant difference in strengthening bonds and preventing relational rifts. What consistent actions are most effective in preserving and enriching our relationships? Ultimately, setbacks and failures are inevitable. The key lies in resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity and view challenges as opportunities for growth. A single failure doesn't have to define you. What are the core elements that enable us to not only endure hardship, but emerge stronger? Resilience isn't a single trait, but rather a multifaceted attribute encompassing emotional, mental, social, and physical dimensions. Emotional resilience involves managing stress and regulating emotions effectively. Mental resilience includes adopting a growth mindset and maintaining a positive outlook. Social resilience entails building a strong support network and seeking help when needed. Physical resilience focuses on maintaining physical health and energy levels. How do these different forms of resilience support and reinforce one another? Developing a holistic approach to resilience involves cultivating each of these dimensions. Prioritize self-care practices like exercise, healthy eating, and sufficient sleep. Cultivate mindfulness and stress reduction techniques such as meditation or yoga. Build strong relationships with supportive friends and family members. Challenge negative thought patterns and replace them with more positive and constructive ones. What specific practices can strengthen each facet of resilience? A growth mindset is essential. View challenges as opportunities for learning and improvement rather than as threats to your self-worth. Practice self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. Build a strong support system, connecting with others who can provide encouragement and guidance. Analyze past failures, identifying areas for improvement and learning from your mistakes. How does adopting a growth mindset transform our relationship with failure? Consider J.K. Rowling, whose Harry Potter manuscript was rejected by numerous publishers before finally finding success, or Thomas Edison, who famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. These individuals demonstrate that setbacks are not roadblocks, but rather stepping stones on the path to achievement. What common threads link these stories of resilience, and how can we apply them to our own lives? Mentorship offers another avenue for growth, providing guidance, support, and valuable perspective. A good mentor shares insights, helps navigate challenges, and expands one's network. But what defines an ideal mentor-mentee relationship? However, mentorship isn't without potential pitfalls. Power imbalances, conflicting advice, and overdependence can hinder growth. It's crucial to maintain autonomy and critical thinking skills. What safeguards can be implemented to prevent these common mentorship challenges? Imagine a mentee who feels pressured to follow their mentor's advice, even when it conflicts with their own values. Or a mentor who exploits their position, taking credit for the mentee's work or pushing them toward opportunities that primarily benefit the mentor. These scenarios highlight the importance of establishing clear boundaries and maintaining a healthy sense of self. How do these negative mentorship experiences undermine the potential benefits of such relationships? To cultivate a healthy mentorship, first identify your goals and needs, then seek mentors aligned with your values and possessing relevant experience. Communicate your expectations clearly, be open to feedback, but trust your own judgment and maintain a professional, respectful relationship. Consider reverse mentoring, where younger individuals mentor older ones, challenging traditional hierarchies and emphasizing diverse perspectives. In what ways can both mentors and mentees benefit from embracing diverse perspectives and challenging traditional hierarchies? To illustrate the importance of aligning success with values, let's consider the case of a philanthropist. How can those with vast resources ensure their efforts truly create positive change and resonate with their core beliefs? Choose a contemporary philanthropist who has faced ethical challenges or criticisms. Perhaps they faced criticism for the methods used to generate their wealth, or for the way their philanthropic efforts were perceived as self-serving. Analyze their actions and motivations, exploring the complexities of wielding wealth for social good. What ethical dilemmas do philanthropists often encounter, and how can they be navigated effectively? Connecting this to earlier discussions of moral compromise, purpose, and legacy, we see that wealth can be a means to an end, not an end in itself. As we've seen, prioritizing relationships, cultivating resilience, and seeking wise counsel can help anyone to redefine success on their own terms, regardless of their financial status. This reminds us of the advice given earlier in this video, such as ikigai, setting boundaries, and defining one's values. How can these prior insights be applied to guide philanthropic endeavors and maximize their positive impact? As we redefine success on our own terms, it becomes crucial to recognize a subtle yet pervasive danger: the echo chamber of success. The higher we climb, the more likely we are to be surrounded by people who reinforce our existing beliefs, validating every decision and shielding us from dissenting opinions. This creates a dangerous feedback loop, stifling critical thinking and leading to a distorted sense of reality. How does this seemingly supportive environment morph into a trap that undermines our very success? Consider a CEO who has built a successful company. As their power grows, they may begin to surround themselves with sycophantic advisors who are more interested in pleasing them than in providing honest feedback. These advisors might praise every decision, dismiss any concerns, and actively filter out negative information. As a result, the CEO becomes increasingly isolated from reality, making increasingly poor decisions that ultimately harm the company. This isn't just limited to business. It can happen in any field where success creates a hierarchy of influence. How can individuals in positions of authority cultivate an environment where honest criticism is valued rather than suppressed? This phenomenon links directly to our earlier discussion of authenticity and vulnerability. The fear of criticism, the need to maintain a perfect image, and the pressure to constantly perform can prevent us from seeking out honest feedback, even from trusted sources. We may become so invested in our own narrative of success that we reject any information that challenges it. Identifying an echo chamber requires a painful degree of self-awareness. Are your closest advisors consistently agreeing with you, or are they challenging your assumptions and offering alternative perspectives? Are you actively seeking out dissenting opinions, or are you only listening to voices that confirm your existing beliefs? What steps can one take to foster a culture of open dialogue and constructive criticism within their sphere of influence? Underlying the formation of echo chambers are powerful psychological forces, particularly cognitive biases. Confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs, leads us to gravitate toward like-minded individuals and sources of information. The Dunning-Kruger effect, where individuals with low competence overestimate their abilities, can reinforce flawed thinking and make us resistant to feedback. Algorithms also play a significant role. Social media platforms and search engines often create filter bubbles by showing us content that aligns with our past behavior, further limiting our exposure to diverse perspectives. Considering the impact of algorithms, how much of our perspective is truly our own? Breaking free from the echo chamber requires a conscious and deliberate effort. Actively seek out diverse perspectives, reading books, articles, and opinions that challenge your assumptions. Solicit feedback from people who disagree with you, creating opportunities for constructive debate. Be open to criticism and willing to change your mind, recognizing that intellectual humility is a sign of strength, not weakness. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, hold you accountable, and are not afraid to tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. What practical steps can we take to actively disrupt our own cognitive biases and expose ourselves to a broader range of viewpoints? Compounding the dangers of echo chambers is the insidious trap of entitlement. Success, particularly when it involves wealth, power, or status, can breed a sense of deservingness, leading to unethical behavior and a disregard for the needs of others. How does success, which is often earned through hard work and dedication, paradoxically lead to a sense of unwarranted privilege? Consider a celebrity who believes they are above the law, flouting rules and regulations with impunity, or an executive who exploits their employees for personal gain, justifying their actions with the belief that they are entitled to the fruits of their labor. This sense of entitlement can manifest in subtle ways, such as a disregard for the time and energy of others, or a belief that one's own opinions are inherently more valuable. What are the early warning signs that success is breeding a sense of entitlement? The psychological roots of entitlement often lie in narcissism and a lack of perspective taking. Individuals with narcissistic tendencies may see themselves as inherently superior to others, deserving of special treatment and admiration. A lack of perspective taking, the ability to understand and appreciate the viewpoints of others, can further exacerbate this sense of entitlement. Society often enables and encourages entitled behavior from the wealthy and powerful, reinforcing the belief that they are above the rules that apply to everyone else. Given that society often tacitly condones entitlement, what systemic changes are necessary to counteract this dangerous trend? Combating entitlement requires a conscious effort to cultivate humility, empathy, and gratitude. Practice gratitude and appreciation, regularly acknowledging the contributions of others and recognizing the role of luck in your own success. Volunteer your time and resources to help others, connecting with those less fortunate and gaining a broader perspective on life. Reflect on your privilege and use it to advocate for those who lack the same opportunities. Hold yourself accountable for your actions, seeking feedback from trusted sources and admitting your mistakes. By focusing on the needs of others, we can guard against the insidious creep of entitlement. What consistent practices can effectively ground us in humility and prevent the erosion of empathy? The pursuit of success can manifest in unexpected ways. Consider the world of spirituality, where the pursuit of enlightenment can also be subject to the success effect. The phenomenon of spiritual bypassing occurs when individuals use spiritual concepts to avoid dealing with emotional pain and unresolved issues. This involves using spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep personal, emotional baggage, to use those beliefs to avoid facing unresolved wounds. Can the quest for spiritual enlightenment ironically become just another form of ego gratification? Analyze the lives and teachings of controversial spiritual leaders who have been accused of abusing their power or exploiting their followers. These individuals often present themselves as enlightened beings, offering a path to salvation or enlightenment while secretly manipulating their followers for personal gain. This exploitation can take many forms, including financial exploitation, sexual abuse, and emotional manipulation. By superficially adopting the language of enlightenment, some leaders dodge accountability. What characteristics render individuals particularly vulnerable to spiritual bypassing and manipulation by unscrupulous leaders? This case study connects to several of our previous themes: shadow suppression, imposter syndrome, and the social validation trap. The need to appear enlightened or spiritually advanced can lead to a denial of one's own flaws and a reliance on external validation from followers. Individuals may suppress their shadow side, the darker aspects of their personality, in order to maintain a perfect image. They may also suffer from imposter syndrome, fearing that they will be exposed as frauds. How does this constant pressure to maintain a spiritual facade ultimately undermine genuine spiritual growth? Avoiding spiritual bypassing requires grounding your spiritual practice in real-world action. Be honest with yourself about your flaws and limitations, recognizing that spiritual growth is a lifelong journey, not a destination. Seek out therapy or counseling to address unresolved emotional issues, integrating psychological insights with spiritual practices. Surround yourself with a supportive community of authentic seekers, individuals who are committed to genuine growth rather than superficial appearances. What tangible steps can one take to ensure their spiritual journey remains grounded, authentic, and free from the pitfalls of ego-driven ambition? Ultimately, true success is not solely defined by external achievements, but by the inner journey of self-discovery, growth, and contribution. It's about aligning our actions with our values, living a life of purpose and meaning, and contributing to something larger than ourselves. This calls back to our earlier discussions of authenticity, vulnerability, and mindful productivity. If true success is an inner journey, what are the essential landmarks along the way? Eudaimonia, a concept from Aristotle, refers to living a fulfilling life by striving for excellence, cultivating virtue, and living in accordance with one's true nature. This involves identifying our unique strengths and talents, developing them to their fullest potential, and using them to serve others. It also involves cultivating virtues such as courage, honesty, compassion, and justice, living in accordance with ethical principles. Living in accordance with one's true nature means aligning our actions with our values, pursuing goals that are meaningful to us, and living authentically. How does this ancient concept of eudaimonia offer a timeless guide for navigating the complexities of modern life? Cultivating inner success involves a commitment to continuous self-reflection, introspection, gratitude, forgiveness, presence, and acceptance. Practice self-reflection and introspection, regularly examining your thoughts, feelings, and motivations. Cultivate gratitude and appreciation, focusing on the positive aspects of your life and expressing appreciation for the people and things that matter most. Forgive yourself and others, releasing resentment and bitterness. Live in the present moment, savoring each experience and letting go of worries about the future or regrets about the past. Embrace your imperfections, recognizing that they are part of what makes you unique and human. Connect with something larger than yourself, whether it's nature, art, music, community, or a spiritual tradition. As we consider these strategies for cultivating inner success, what role does intentionality play in shaping our journey? The path to true success is a lifelong journey, not a destination. It requires continuous learning, growth, and self-discovery. As you move forward, it's important to remember that the challenges of success can be just as daunting as the challenges of failure. But by cultivating self-awareness, resilience, and a strong moral compass, you can navigate these challenges and create a life of true and lasting fulfillment. But how can we prepare ourselves for this lifelong journey of navigating the complexities of success? The journey toward true success often places individuals in positions of leadership, a role that, while carrying the promise of positive impact, also introduces a unique emotional burden. Those in power frequently bear the emotional weight of others' struggles, leading to burnout, diminished empathy, and a condition known as vicarious trauma or compassion fatigue. How does this emotional toll impact even the most well-intentioned leaders, and what mechanisms can be employed to mitigate its effects? Imagine a CEO navigating the complexities of employee layoffs, a doctor treating patients with terminal illnesses, or a social worker addressing cases of child abuse. Each of these individuals bears witness to profound suffering, absorbing the emotional pain of others. Over time, this can lead to a depletion of their own emotional resources, resulting in feelings of detachment, cynicism, and even secondary traumatic stress. Military leaders, for instance, must grapple with making life and death decisions, carrying the weight of responsibility for the well-being of their troops, and dealing with the psychological consequences of warfare. How do leaders cope with these experiences, and how can we ensure that they are adequately supported? This vicarious burden is often amplified by the relational rifts and echo chambers that can develop around successful individuals. Leaders who isolate themselves from their teams or surround themselves with yes people lack the support and perspective needed to process difficult emotions. Without genuine connections and honest feedback, they are more likely to internalize the suffering they witness, leading to further emotional distress. Empathy, while essential for leadership, can become a liability if it is not balanced with self-regulation and healthy boundaries. What strategies can leaders adopt to manage the emotional demands of their roles without sacrificing their well-being or their ability to connect with others? Emotional intelligence and self-regulation are vital for leaders in managing vicarious trauma. Self-awareness, empathy, and the ability to set boundaries can help mitigate the negative impacts of bearing witness to others' suffering. Practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and journaling can enhance self-awareness, allowing leaders to recognize and process their own emotions. Setting healthy boundaries, both personally and professionally, can prevent emotional overwhelm and protect against burnout. Seeking support from trusted mentors, therapists, or peer groups can provide a safe space for leaders to share their experiences and receive guidance. What specific, actionable methods can be used for effective emotional regulation? Challenging the traditional view of leadership as a purely rational and strategic endeavor is paramount. Emphasizing the importance of emotional connection and vulnerability is crucial. Leaders who are willing to show their own humanity, to acknowledge their own struggles and imperfections, are better equipped to build trust and inspire their teams. This authenticity creates a space for others to share their own challenges, fostering a culture of empathy and support. Shifting the paradigm of leadership from one of control and authority to one of collaboration and empowerment requires a willingness to embrace vulnerability and to prioritize the well-being of others. In what ways can authentic leadership provide a more sustainable and fulfilling model for both leaders and their teams? This shift leads us to the concept of authentic leadership, a model that emphasizes self-awareness, empathy, ethical decision-making, and a commitment to serving others. Authentic leaders are true to themselves, inspire trust, and empower those around them. They prioritize purpose and impact over personal gain, leading to greater fulfillment and a more positive legacy. But what are the key characteristics that define an authentic leader, and how do these differ from those of traditional leaders focused solely on achieving results? Humility, integrity, courage, and a strong sense of purpose are the cornerstones of authentic leadership. Humility allows leaders to acknowledge their own limitations and to value the contributions of others. Integrity ensures that leaders act in accordance with their values, even when it's difficult or unpopular. Courage enables leaders to take risks, to challenge the status quo, and to stand up for what they believe in. A clear sense of purpose provides leaders with a guiding vision, motivating them to serve a cause larger than themselves. Contrast this with a leader who resorts to unethical tactics to achieve their goals, prioritizing personal ambition over the well-being of their team or the integrity of their organization. What distinguishes a purpose-driven leader from one driven purely by self-interest? Servant leadership, a key component of authentic leadership, prioritizes the needs of team members, empowering them to grow and develop. Servant leaders focus on fostering a culture of trust, collaboration, and shared responsibility. They actively listen to their team members, provide them with the resources and support they need to succeed, and celebrate their accomplishments. This approach not only enhances individual well-being, but also promotes greater innovation, creativity, and overall organizational performance. What specific behaviors exemplify servant leadership, and what concrete practices can viewers implement to cultivate these behaviors in their own leadership styles? To foster the behaviors of servant leaders, you can regularly seek feedback from your team, actively listen to their concerns, and empower them to make decisions. Provide opportunities for professional development, mentoring, and coaching. Recognize and celebrate their achievements, both big and small. Lead by example, demonstrating integrity, humility, and a commitment to serving others. Create a culture of trust and psychological safety, where team members feel comfortable sharing their ideas, taking risks, and learning from their mistakes. By prioritizing the needs of their team, servant leaders foster a more engaged, motivated, and productive workforce. Now, let's revisit the case study of the philanthropist from section 24, this time with a new layer of complexity. Their well-intentioned efforts to solve a social problem unintentionally created unforeseen negative consequences for the community they were trying to help. Their actions were not malicious, but the lack of awareness created a worse situation for many. How does a lack of systemic understanding undermine even the most generous impulses, and what steps can be taken to prevent such unintended harm? Imagine a philanthropist who donates money to build a school in a developing country, but unintentionally disrupts the local economy and undermines traditional educational systems. The influx of resources may drive up prices, making it difficult for local businesses to compete. The new school may draw students away from traditional educational practices, leading to a loss of cultural heritage and knowledge. By failing to consider the broader systemic context, the philanthropist inadvertently created more problems than they solved. This scenario underscores the importance of understanding the interconnectedness of social systems and the potential for unintended consequences. In situations like these, who should be held responsible, and how can one act to avoid these issues? This scenario connects directly to our earlier discussion of cognitive bias and echo chambers. The philanthropist's lack of awareness of their own biases and their reliance on advice from like-minded individuals led them to make decisions that were ultimately harmful. They may have been surrounded by advisors who praised their generosity without questioning the potential negative impacts of their actions. This echo chamber prevented them from gaining a more nuanced understanding of the local context and the potential unintended consequences of their intervention. What ethical dilemmas arise when philanthropic efforts, driven by good intentions, result in unforeseen negative outcomes? The ethical dilemmas that arise when philanthropic efforts have unintended negative consequences are significant. What happens when a philanthropic project fails, causing harm to the community it was intended to help? Who is responsible for cleaning up the mess? Should the philanthropist be held accountable for their actions, even if they acted in good faith? These questions highlight the importance of careful planning, thorough research, and ongoing monitoring of philanthropic initiatives. Philanthropists have a responsibility to consider the potential negative impacts of their work and to adapt their strategies as needed. One approach to aligning financial resources with values and creating positive social and environmental change is impact investing. This involves investing in companies, organizations, and funds that generate measurable social and environmental impact alongside financial returns. Impact investing can be a more sustainable and responsible approach to philanthropy than traditional grant-making. It encourages philanthropists to actively engage with the organizations they support, to monitor their progress, and to hold them accountable for their impact. Traditional grant-making often lacks this level of engagement and accountability, making it more susceptible to unintended consequences. How does impact investing offer a more holistic and responsible approach to philanthropy, fostering long-term sustainability and positive change? To understand complex problems and avoid unintended consequences, we must adopt systems thinking. Systems thinking involves seeing the world as a web of interconnected relationships, rather than as a collection of isolated parts. What are the core principles of systems thinking, and how can they be applied to address complex social and environmental challenges? Feedback loops, leverage points, and unintended consequences are core principles of systems thinking. Feedback loops are processes in which the output of a system influences its own input, creating a cycle of cause and effect. Leverage points are places in a system where small changes can have a large impact. Unintended consequences are the unforeseen and often negative outcomes of actions taken within a system. A systems thinker can recognize and analyze these elements to create more effective strategies. How would a systems thinker approach the problem of poverty, compared to a traditional philanthropist who focuses solely on providing financial assistance? Our mental models, assumptions, and beliefs that shape our understanding of the world can significantly influence our perceptions and decisions. Systems thinking emphasizes the importance of being aware of our mental models and challenging them regularly. By recognizing our biases and assumptions, we can gain a more accurate understanding of the systems we are trying to influence. To improve our understanding of systems thinking, how can we best identify and challenge our own mental models? Applying systems thinking in daily life can involve a series of practical steps. First, identify the key elements of the system you are trying to understand. Second, map the relationships between those elements. Third, look for feedback loops and unintended consequences. Fourth, consider different perspectives. Finally, be willing to challenge your own assumptions. By adopting these practices, we can develop a more holistic understanding of the world and make more informed decisions. To integrate these elements of systems thinking, what practical strategies can one incorporate into their daily routines? Ultimately, true success isn't about achieving a specific outcome. It's about embracing a process of continuous learning, growth, and contribution. It means aligning one's actions with one's values and living a life of purpose and meaning. But what does this look like in practice, and how does it differ from the conventional pursuit of external achievements? What then, truly, is the ultimate success? Kaizen, a Japanese philosophy emphasizing continuous improvement, embodies this principle. Kaizen involves making small, incremental changes over time to achieve significant results. This approach can be applied in personal life, in business, or in philanthropic endeavors. Rather than striving for perfection, Kaizen encourages us to focus on making small, consistent improvements that accumulate over time. This mindset shifts our focus from the destination to the journey, emphasizing the importance of continuous growth and development. In what ways can we integrate the principles of Kaizen into our daily lives to foster a mindset of continuous improvement? For a final set of practical strategies to embrace the process, begin by setting meaningful goals, but don't become overly attached to the outcome. Focus on learning and growth rather than on achieving perfection. Celebrate small victories along the way. Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes. Remember that the journey is the destination. By shifting our focus from external achievements to internal growth and contribution, we can cultivate a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Consider what changes when we alter our perspective on our life's journey. Let's challenge the notion that success is a destination to be reached. Instead, let's emphasize living a life of purpose, meaning, and contribution every day. True success is not about what you achieve, but about who you become along the way. In the end, it's not about the accolades or the wealth accumulated, but about the positive impact you have on the world and the person you become in the process. What is the next step in solidifying this understanding into our daily actions? For some, the allure of success can manifest as a yearning to transcend the ordinary aspects of human existence, leading to a neglect of practical responsibilities and everyday relationships. This isn't merely about the accumulation of fame or wealth, but a profound quest for a different plane of being, a state of existence somehow elevated above the mundane. Is this impulse inherently problematic, or can it be a catalyst for genuine growth and contribution, provided it's approached with awareness and balance? Consider the example of a spiritual leader who becomes so engrossed in their pursuit of enlightenment that they become detached from earthly concerns, neglecting their family and community. Or imagine a scientist so consumed by their research that they lose sight of the simple joys of life, sacrificing personal connections and everyday experiences at the altar of discovery. Both scenarios illustrate how the desire for transcendence, when unchecked, can lead to a form of escapism, blinding individuals to the beauty and significance of the present moment. How does this pursuit of transcendence parallel the concept of spiritual bypassing discussed earlier, and what role does the ego play in this dynamic? This desire for transcendence often stems from deep-seated psychological factors, such as a fear of mortality, a longing for meaning, or a fundamental dissatisfaction with the perceived limitations of human existence. Some may view the mundane aspects of life as inherently meaningless or insignificant, seeking refuge in pursuits that offer a sense of purpose or escape from the ordinary. But what are the potential benefits of finding meaning in the mundane, and how can we cultivate a greater appreciation for the simple joys of life? Shouldn't we focus on what is rather than what could be? Indeed, the very notion that the mundane aspects of life are inherently devoid of meaning is a fallacy. True fulfillment can often be found in embracing the ordinary, in cultivating meaningful relationships, and in appreciating the simple pleasures that life has to offer. Consider the act of sharing a meal with loved ones, taking a walk in nature, or engaging in a creative pursuit simply for the joy of it. These seemingly insignificant moments can be profound sources of happiness, connection, and meaning, enriching our lives in ways that external achievements often cannot. How can we shift our perspective to recognize the inherent value and beauty of the mundane? This brings us to the fallacy of work-life balance, a term often used to describe the ideal distribution of time and energy between professional and personal pursuits. However, this compartmentalized view of life is often unrealistic and unsustainable. The notion that we can neatly divide our lives into separate boxes, allocating equal amounts of time and energy to each, often sets us up for failure and frustration. Why does the pursuit of work-life balance often feel like a never-ending struggle? And what alternative approaches can we adopt to create a more fulfilling and integrated life? Consider the scenario of a parent who feels guilty for missing their child's soccer game due to a work commitment, or an employee who feels pressured to constantly check their email outside of office hours. blurring the lines between their professional and personal lives. These situations illustrate the inherent challenges of trying to maintain a strict separation between work and life. The constant juggling act can lead to feelings of stress, guilt, and overwhelm, ultimately diminishing our overall well-being. In what ways does this pursuit of balance contribute to the very imbalance it seeks to correct? A more holistic and flexible approach is that of work-life integration, where professional and personal pursuits are interwoven and mutually supportive. This involves aligning our work with our values, setting realistic goals, and creating a flexible schedule that allows for both professional and personal pursuits. It also means communicating our needs and boundaries to others and prioritizing self-care and well-being. How can we cultivate work-life integration in our own lives, and what specific strategies can we employ to create a more harmonious and fulfilling existence? To cultivate work-life integration, begin by identifying your priorities and values. What truly matters to you in life? What are you passionate about? What brings you joy? Once you have a clear understanding of your values, you can begin to align your work with your priorities, seeking out opportunities that are both meaningful and fulfilling. Set realistic goals and expectations for yourself, and don't be afraid to say no to commitments that don't align with your values. Create a flexible schedule that allows for both professional and personal pursuits, and communicate your needs and boundaries to others. Finally, prioritize self-care and well-being, making time for activities that help you relax, recharge, and reconnect with yourself. To illustrate the potential pitfalls of extreme material success, let's consider the case study of a highly successful billionaire who, despite achieving immense wealth and recognition, experienced a profound sense of emptiness, burnout, and disillusionment. This individual, whom we'll call Mr. X, seemingly had it all: a thriving business, a luxurious lifestyle, and the admiration of the world. Yet, behind the facade of success, Mr. X was struggling with a deep sense of meaninglessness and a pervasive feeling of dissatisfaction. What drove Mr. X to pursue such extreme wealth, and what sacrifices did he make along the way? Driven by a relentless ambition and a deep-seated need for validation, Mr. X had dedicated his entire life to building his business. He sacrificed personal relationships, neglected his health, and compromised his values in pursuit of financial success. The turning point came when Mr. X experienced a health scare, forcing him to confront his own mortality and question the meaning of his life. What lessons can we learn from Mr. X's experience, and how can we avoid falling into the same trap? Mr. X's story connects directly to the themes of the hedonic treadmill, the social validation trap, and the corruption of values discussed earlier. His pursuit of wealth led to a cycle of dissatisfaction, a reliance on external validation, and a neglect of his personal values. Ultimately, Mr. X realized that his material success had come at the cost of his inner well-being and his relationships with loved ones. This pivotal moment led him to radically change his life and priorities, shifting his focus from external achievements to internal fulfillment. After his health scare, Mr. X decided to step down from his leadership role in his company, dedicating his time and resources to philanthropic endeavors and reconnecting with his family. He sold many of his luxury items. He found meaning in serving others and in cultivating meaningful relationships, realizing that true success lies not in what you accumulate, but in what you give back. The change in Mr. X wasn't sudden. His perspective gradually shifted. How does Mr. X's transformation illustrate the importance of aligning our actions with our values? And what steps can we take to redefine success on our own terms? This brings us to the concept of regret, as a potential consequence of prioritizing success over other aspects of life. As individuals approach the end of their lives, they often express regrets about not spending enough time with loved ones, not pursuing their passions, or not living authentically. These regrets highlight the importance of making conscious choices that align with our values and priorities. What are some proactive steps that viewers can take to avoid future regret? And how can we live a life that is true to ourselves? To avoid future regret, it's essential to identify your values and priorities. What truly matters to you in life? What do you want to be remembered for? Once you have a clear understanding of your values, you can begin to align your actions with your principles, making choices that are consistent with your beliefs and aspirations. Pursue your passions and interests, even if they don't lead to immediate financial gain. Take risks and step outside of your comfort zone, embracing new experiences and challenges. Forgive yourself for past mistakes, learning from them and moving forward with greater wisdom and compassion. Finally, live in the present moment, appreciating the simple joys of life and cherishing the relationships that matter most. What would happen if we all made sure to take time for all the things that matter? Ultimately, true success is not solely defined by external achievements, but by the positive impact one has on the world and the lives of others. It's about leaving behind a legacy of kindness, compassion, and positive change, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond our own individual lives. What makes a legacy truly meaningful, and how can we cultivate the qualities and practices that contribute to a more lasting and positive impact? A meaningful legacy is not just about material possessions or professional accomplishments. It's about the values we embody, the relationships we nurture, and the contributions we make to society. It's about inspiring others to live more fulfilling and meaningful lives, leaving the world a little bit better than we found it. It's about kindness, compassion, and positive change. In what ways can we connect all of the prior arguments and patterns to leave our own inspiring and positive legacy? Throughout this exploration, we've navigated the often uncharted waters of success, revealing its potential shadows and the importance of understanding its complexities. We've seen how the singular pursuit of external validation can lead to a hollow existence, characterized by unhappiness, isolation, and a profound loss of self. The relentless climb up the ladder of achievement, fueled by societal expectations and the allure of recognition, can often lead us away from what truly matters: our values, our relationships, and our inner well-being. From the politician who sacrificed his integrity for power to the artist who lost herself in the pursuit of fame, from the tech founder who burned out chasing innovation to the philanthropist who sought validation through giving, we have seen that these are merely different examples of the same fundamental challenge. Each of these examples show a struggle to reconcile external achievements with internal well-being. Success, as we've come to understand, is not inherently a negative force, but rather a double-edged sword that requires mindful navigation and a clear understanding of one's own personal values. How can we ensure that our pursuit of success aligns with our deepest selves, rather than leading us down a path of disillusionment? The ultimate revelation is that true success transcends the limitations of external metrics. It is not solely defined by the accolades we receive, the wealth we accumulate, or the power we wield. Instead, it is found in the transformative journey of self-discovery, the unwavering commitment to personal growth, and the positive impact we have on the world. This inner journey, guided by our values and fueled by our passions, is the true measure of a life well-lived. Recall our discussion of eudaimonia, that state of flourishing that arises from living in accordance with our values. True success involves not only achieving external goals, but also cultivating positive emotions, nurturing strong relationships, and discovering a sense of meaning and purpose that permeates every aspect of our lives. Positive psychology research echoes this sentiment, highlighting the profound benefits of flourishing for our overall well-being, resilience, and capacity for joy. And if we are feeling a sense of unfulfillment or a sense of stuckness or blah, how can we begin to find and define that sense of flourishing? To bring this concept into sharper focus, consider the words of Carl Jung, who reminds us that the shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. This profound statement underscores the importance of individual self-discovery and the need to define success on our own terms. It challenges us to move beyond societal expectations and to embark on a journey of self-exploration, guided by our own unique values, passions, and aspirations. It's time now to discuss the specific actions each viewer can take to start redefining their lives and how they measure success, so that they may achieve a more authentic and purposeful life. Therefore, embrace the call to action and embark on your own inner journey. Take the time to reflect on your current definition of success and honestly assess whether it aligns with your deepest values and aspirations. Identify any areas where you may be sacrificing your well-being or compromising your principles in the pursuit of external achievements. What aspects of your life feel out of alignment, and what steps can you take to restore harmony? Consider these beginning steps on your journey towards a more authentic existence. Begin cultivating a practice of gratitude by starting a gratitude journal, writing down 3 things you are grateful for each day. Identify your core values, the guiding principles that truly matter to you, and use them as a compass to navigate your decisions. Set firm personal boundaries, learning to say no to commitments that don't align with your values or drain your energy. Practice self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a dear friend, especially when you make mistakes. And seek out a mentor or role model who embodies the qualities you admire, someone who can offer guidance, support, and inspiration as you navigate your own path. How will these changes shift your perspective on yourself? I challenge you to redefine success on your own terms, embracing a more holistic and sustainable approach to achievement. Prioritize inner fulfillment, meaningful relationships, and making a positive impact on the world, recognizing that these are the true cornerstones of a life well lived. Acknowledge that the journey of self-discovery and growth is a lifelong process, filled with both triumphs and setbacks. There will be moments of doubt, frustration, and uncertainty along the way, but it's crucial to stay committed to your values and to continue learning and growing, even in the face of adversity. We are all human, after all. Remember that the journey of self-discovery and growth is a lifelong endeavor, one that requires ongoing commitment, self-reflection, and a willingness to embrace change. It's important to acknowledge that there will be challenges and setbacks along the way, moments when you feel lost, confused, or discouraged. But it's during these times that your commitment to your values will be tested, and it's through these experiences that you will grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. I encourage you to share your own experiences, insights, and challenges in the comments section below, creating a community where we can all learn from one another. For those who wish to delve deeper into these topics, I recommend exploring the works of Carl Jung, Viktor Frankl, and the Dalai Lama, as well as resources on positive psychology and mindfulness. And I invite you to seek out communities dedicated to self-discovery and personal growth. In closing, remember that it is indeed possible to achieve both external success and inner fulfillment, and that the journey towards a more authentic and purposeful life is well worth the effort. The balance is there for you to find. Strive toward this balance, and you will discover the equilibrium and peace you've been searching for. I hope that the discussion has sparked something within you. Stay tuned for future videos where we will explore related themes and offer further guidance on specific practices and strategies for living a more fulfilling